Welcome back to my channel. Everyone's excited with the launch of the legendary British brand BSA. They've started off with a bang with a 650cc single-cylinder Gold Star. Now it is very natural for us to compare her with her most prominent and most obvious competitor, the Royal Enfield 650 Twins. Well, let me first tell you the most important aspect, the X factor, the most unlikely hero and savior of these two legendary British brands. India. Well, not the country India, but the Indian brands that have purchased the right to remanufacture these legendary brands and bring them back to life. Obviously, this is not the first time that this has occurred. One of the most famous examples is Tata taking over brands like Jaguar as well as Land Rover. Now back to the topic. We'll be comparing the world's oldest bike manufacturer, the Royal Enfield. Yes, just in case if you did not know, Royal Enfield is older than Harley Davidson, with her worthy competitor, the BSA Gold Star, which is like a phoenix that has just been risen from her ashes. Let's start with their ownership. BSA is a wholly owned subsidiary of the legendary Classic Private Limited, CLPL, which in turn is a subsidiary company owned by Mahindra & Mahindra. Royal Enfield was initially licensed to India Madras Motors after the British left India. It is now a wholly owned subsidiary of Eicher Motors Limited. With reference to the engine, the new Gold Star 650 gets a 652cc engine, which is liquid-cooled DOHC setup 4-valve unit responsible for delivering 45 horsepower at 6000 rpm and 55 Nm of torque at 4000 rpm. BSA has specifically mentioned the engine is detuned to a 45 horsepower state, which means BSA will be launching the more powerful versions of Gold Star in the future. Royal Enfield is powered by a 648cc parallel twin 4-stroke single overhead cam air oil cooled fuel injected engine. The unit is responsible for producing 47 horsepower at 7150 rpm and 52 Nm of torque at 5250 rpm. She has 4 valves per cylinder. BSA has specified that the Gold Star produces her torque as low as 1800 rpm, delivering a healthy flow throughout the rev range, resulting in effortless cruising and burst of acceleration as and when needed. We have personally ridden the 650 extensively and can positively mention that the torque in this engine is also way down in the RPM range. Both these engines are focused on low and mid-range torque for the feel of a classic British bike rather than the burst of power that is usually characterized by Japanese bikes. The BSA surprisingly only uses a 5-speed gearbox, but with the amount of torque she produces, I think this should be sufficient, while the Royal Enfield uses a 6-speed gearbox unit. Both these bikes are built to reach the 1-ton mark, that is top speed slightly exceeding above 160 kilometers. BSA runs on Pirelli Phantoms with a 18-inch front with a 19-section tire and a 17-inch rear with a 150-section tire. In the braking department, the Gold Star has a 320mm disc in the front and a 255mm disc in the rear. With reference to the Royal Enfield, she has a 320mm disc in the front and a 240mm disc in the rear. Dual channel ABS is offered as standard for both these brands. In terms of appearance and details, the BSA definitely looks the part. She looks like a bike that has just come out from the assembly line from the 1960s. They have done a commendable job in fusing the looks of the 1960s with the technology of 2021. And I mean only the basic technology that makes the bike legal nowadays, like ABS and fuel injection. Royal Enfield too looks old school, but not as close as the way BSA flaunts their vintage heritage. BSA overall weighs 213 kgs and she comes with a puny 12-litre fuel tank. The Royal Enfield weighs 202 kgs and she comes with a 13.7 litres of fuel. To sum it up, the ton-up boys of the 1960s will be really glad that their brands have come back to life in a modern avatar. For people who want to touch the 200-250 kilometer mark, these bikes are obviously not meant for them. For people who want to travel at reasonable speeds and want to own a machine that has character, I don't think there's anything better than the Royal Enfield or the BSA in today's market. So we look forward for hearing your views on the same. Thank you for viewing this video. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And I look forward for seeing you in my next one.